First of all, this bill, Minister, amounts to nothing more than tokenism. It is much too little, way too late, and will have little to no real impact. Myself and my colleagues in the Rural Independent Group have been calling on the Government to act on crippling energy price hikes for over a year now. Even earlier this week, the Central Bank announced that it is now forecasting that inflation would surge again this year. The bank went on to single out energy prices, in particular, as being the main cause. The remarks of the Central Bank's Governor, Gabriel McAuliffe, are even more worrying when he described the surge in costs here as spectacular. The Government cannot conveniently ignore this research, as the reality of the Central Bank analysis clearly shows that those living in lower income households will be disproportionately affected and feel the pinch that bit more this year. In overall terms, the spectacular cost of living increases we are seeing here in Ireland means an average family will be forced to pay an extra $3,000 to $5,000 to run their prospective households this year. In spite of this crisis, all the Government can do is come forward and offer a €100 electric voucher. Not only is this grossly insufficient, it is an insult and clearly underlines how out of touch this administration really is to the realities facing Irish families across the country today. The truth of the matter is people in Ireland cannot afford to heat their homes, Minister. That's the bottom line. The price of home heating oil has shot through the roof. The price of coal has shot through the roof, along with the price of blocks and imported peat briquettes. I know the Green Party would like us all to wrap ourselves in silver wrap. It sounds mad. It is, and it is, but that's what's happening in homes around Ireland. People cannot afford to heat their homes in 2022. People cannot afford to put fuel in their car tanks. Again, I know the Green Party would like us all to cycle, to work or use public transport. But again, in my own constituency, in Cork South West, we cannot cycle on the roads, as there are no cycleways. And even if there were, the hedges and the ditches are all spilling out onto the roadway, making it impossible to cycle on a lot of them roadways. We do not have public transport. My own area in Goleen, the bus leaves in the morning at 7:30. That's it. Come back in the evening, is it around 6 o'clock? That's some public transport to be proud of, and I'll talk about that later. It's not like Dublin, where there are beautiful electric buses purchased recently. However, we do have a great plan to reintroduce the train back into West Cork, a plan that was announced there in the last week. Imagine in the late 1800s we had a train going to Schull. Today, we can't get a train into West Cork. Cork City is as far as it goes. This is a fantastic plan, but as all plans that need money into West Cork, I'm pretty sure it will be abandoned and shelved pretty quickly by this Government, who have their mindset on using the finances of the state to keep building our capital and keep building and keep pumping the money into the capital. As I said, you know, in 2000, I think it was 2017, I made a proposal here pleading with the Government to look at bringing light rail to Bandon. Now, the proposals are actually take it back into where it was before, down into Skibbereen and Bantry and places like that. That's the recent proposal that came out. But surely, by the God, it could have been looked at that time by Government to consider taking light rail back and at least open up West Cork as a place of business and down into Bandon. And then, maybe a couple of years later, another proposal I put to Government was a park and ride system to take cars off the road. And the idea at that time was to have a base in Clonakilty or Skibbereen where people could park their cars and continuous buses would bus them back to the city and home again in the evening. Again, great idea, they were all telling me, but sure, it was shelved straight away because it was West Cork and it needed a bit of investment and it needed a little bit of time. And the sad thing is that somebody did capture that great idea out there, West Cork Connect, Damien Long's bus service. And, you know, he's a private operator. He's running a service now to Cork several times a day from Skibbereen and then from the other side from Bantry, taking in Clonakilty and Bandon and, of course, Dunmanway. And from the other side, and Ballineen and all the way to Cork. Now, he's doing this basically a private operator. Like, and I'm not here to promote any private operator, but he's the only one doing it. Bus Éireann can't service it. He wants to run a new service from Goleen. He wants to do an every hour, on the hour service. And the department here won't allow him. He's not asking for money. He's asking to provide a licence so he can save people using their vehicles and get vehicles off the road. And I, for the life of me, cannot understand why any department hasn't sat around the table and said, sit down here, well done, great idea, save us tens of thousands, millions, and let's work to give you some bit of a subvention to continue. But it won't. And like, we're trying to find a way forward, you know, for people not to use their cars, and the cost of it, and the cost of, you know, their bills coming into their home. And this is a fabulous idea. An hour, every hour, on the hour service out of West Cork from Skibbereen, from Goleen, and if we can't see that that's a workable plan costing the state nothing, there's something seriously wrong with the way we're doing business in here. The carbon tax, but I don't know why a lot of these opposition parties are shouting. Should they all vote for the carbon tax? So what did they think to us? They were going to get a Christmas present, the people of Ireland? Should they were robbed? Took the money out of the people's pockets. That's what they done by voting for that. Blindly supported the carbon tax. And what do we find out now? You're buying beautiful, fancy electric buses above in Dublin with the money. So we can't afford. It is rural Ireland is being punished with the carbon tax, and we can't carry Dublin on our back. You know, I've been often enough saying that we can only look after ourselves to the best of our ability. And carbon taxes, that's where the money has been pushed into pet projects to get them across the line. We haven't got a proper road network in West Cork. We haven't got we have a shocking public transport in West Cork. We don't even mention about train, doesn't exist in West Cork. So, I mean, I have every right to stand here and be angry. There's a new plan out there for a public transport service out of West Cork, but you know what this is? Let you make your submissions. We hope to have it up in about 5 years. That's everything that's going on recently. There's more announcements in West Cork every day of the week for the last 2 or 3 months. So they're all kick the can down the road. It'll happen in about 5 or 10 years' time. There's nothing happening on the ground now. We want shovels turning now on projects so that we can deliver for the people of West Cork. You know, I just, as I said, you know, we're talking about there's some announcements next week in relation to warmer homes, and any announcement has to be welcome, because I have people come back into my constituency office and I think they think I codded them. I filled out forms for warmer homes 2 years ago. They were eligible for warmer homes 2 years ago, and they come into my office 2 years later and they still haven't got them. They're asking me, why did you promote this? Like, because I always promoted, we had a fabulous scheme in Bantry a number of years ago where the elderly got their homes insulated, the roofs and whatever, you know, and it was a fabulous scheme. And we were able to get into every home and get it sorted down in our own community. But, mother of God, we now are in a situation where we can't deliver on a warmer homes project. So basically you stay at home, or cover yourself in a bit of silver, have plenty of blankets. If they can't fill the fuel tank, because he made sure he put oil out of the price range of people, the home heating oil. But you won't deliver on the warmer homes. Or you're going to have another fancy announcement next week and glossy magazines and praise and pat yourselves on the back. I'll wait and see. Is there delivery? Surely be to God if somebody makes out an application from that moment and sends it away within 2 months to 3 months, that somebody has come and work, a scheduled date for work should commence. That's the real world we should be living in. Unfortunately, we're living in some la-la land, and continuous announcements and nothing happening on the ground, no delivery. Fuel allowance is an issue. I know loads of people that fall between the cracks that can't qualify for fuel allowance, which is terribly unfortunate for them. But at the same time, they're in a very difficult financial position. And that further has to be looked at. We'll say if somebody wants a warmer homes project, they could be 10 euros over the income in the week. It's terrible to think that they're omitted because of that, and their home desperately needs to be insulated or whatever works, because it does great work. I'm not taking that away from the fabulous works that down there. I know Finbar O'Sullivan and them are doing some fabulous work, and Conor O'Sullivan and them in West Cork. So I'm not taking away from the work that needs to be done, but it needs to be delivered quickly. We have families that are suffering severe at the present moment. Finances aren't there. The wind, solar, you're talking about wind, and that's fine, wind energy, which should look, it's the future, but it should have been the future. The last time you were in government, all this should have been put in place and should be standing there now. But I know what's going to happen here. You'll put it in place and you'll tell us we'll feed Europe, and you'll do the same as what you did with the fishermen's rights. You'll sell them all away and give it to the rest of Europe. And we'll end up with no profit and probably little out of the wind energy delivery in this side of the world. You see what's happening with, talking to someone today, they bought fuel for their bus last year, 1 or 2 years ago, €1.08. It's €1.65. They can't continue their bus service because of this if it's going to continue. Even the AdBlue was €440 for 1,000 litres last 2 years ago, and now it's €750. And my time is up, and thank you.